Hi, this is part two of A Culture of Using the Right Words, Shame versus Humility. So I was saying in part one, if you say, I'm so ashamed of myself, please forgive me, you are locking yourself in an identity of being a shameful person. Whereas if you say, I humbly apologize for my actions, please forgive me, you are taking responsibility on yourself to improve yourself. And so as a result, you are moving yourself and your interaction or your relationship with this person forward. Whereas if you say, I am so ashamed of myself, I'm sorry, please forgive me, you are saying to that person, I am like this now because of how you have reacted or because I have made you upset. Therefore, you must be the one who releases me from this paradigm that I have imposed on myself and on us in this relationship, on this dynamic between us. You see, when you make it the other person's responsibility to free you from the consequences of your actions, which is the shame that you're feeling, you are saying that they must do the work of moving us in this relationship forward. Basically, you're forcing them to humble themselves and bring themselves down to your level of shame, that low vibrational place that you are, and lift you up. Okay. I think it's unfair and irresponsible. You should be humble enough to say, look, I messed up. I'm sorry. I'm going to do better. It's not the other person's problem that you decided to do some dodgy thing that they've now become upset about. You know what I'm saying? So this is why the shame humility paradigm, I think, is very important to understand. And then also, what's very interesting, there's a word called humiliation, or to humiliate someone, right? Now, if you look at its use in older times, right, it was actually being used appropriately. I think it was one of these philosophers. Anyway, whatever. They're basically saying it's supposed to mean to humble someone, right? And the way you humble someone, the way you appropriately humiliate someone, is to teach them. That's how you actually are supposed to humiliate someone. To humble someone is to teach them the right way. Like how I said in part one, as a parent, you see your child, you're like, look, you could have done this better if you had had this type of approach to it, this type of mindset to it. But I understand you're still learning. Let's learn together how in the future you will do this better. It would have been perhaps better if you had waited a little bit before going for it, because when you went for it, you were nervous and anxious, and that caused you to react in a hyper emotional way when the situation wasn't actually that charged. Did you perhaps feel that you would have been made to feel ashamed of yourself if you didn't act immediately? And then you explain to them that that's an illusory perception that has been imposed on you from the outside. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Everyone makes mistakes. You didn't have to rush in order to try and save face. You were supposed to take care of yourself first and know that no matter what anyone thinks of you, you are still intrinsically worthy as a person. So next time, take your time, do the thing properly to the best of your ability based on what you perceive as being for your highest good in this situation. Obviously also for the highest good of everyone else, but don't find yourself succumbing to what we call peer pressure, for example, to act because you feel that they will make you feel ashamed of yourself, or you will be left to feel ashamed because maybe you'll be ridiculed, you'll be called names, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this is what true humiliation is actually supposed to be. But now, today, it's become a word that is so synonymous with degradation and shame that I don't even think we'll ever be able to rehabilitate this word humiliation. I think it's just lost to us now. Because what we mean, what the connotation, the universally accepted connotation of this word is that it is the process of making someone steeped in the degrading vibration of shame by treating them in an inhumane and degrading way. Okay. So people are humiliated all the time in this culture that we live in. I mean, this is also what, like I'm talking about the rat race, you get to your child's school late and they humiliate you by saying, you should really manage your time better. but not in a way of true humiliation of saying, can we maybe work together to try and figure out, we've noticed a pattern of you coming late. Is there nothing that we can do to assist you so that you can come earlier? And maybe do you have some sort of challenges? Here's a website that could give you some like morning planning tips. That's proper humiliation. Normally what happens is you'll be shamed. Oh, you're late. You're so irresponsible. Why can't you just get this right? What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with anyone. Time management is not everyone's thing. We all have also different personality types. Some personality types are very much capable of time management and doing everything on time and perfectly like that. And, they've got all these like abilities, to really just thrive in this rat race culture. Other personality types do not have that ability. Other personality types will sort of like spend time in their minds, maybe daydreaming, maybe really thinking deeply about something. And the next thing they know, 10 minutes has gone past. And in the morning rush, that every minute increases the volume of traffic, for example, which will delay you in reaching your destination. So yes, for that person, maybe you need to do some prep the night before so that in the morning the execution is much smoother. And then you might find that those really deep thinking people might overthink the preparations in the morning. And so then it becomes much more time consuming. Whereas the other people might not overthink, they just do the things. And for the other more internal person, they might be like, oh, but if I don't do it perfectly like this, then I won't feel like I have expressed my care for the situation properly. You know what I mean? So we all have different personality types. And so I think this humiliation, or like someone like gets late to work, or someone doesn't put in the extra hour to make the project extra shiny so that the boss's ego is extra boost and the boss feels like you are super enthusiastic and super dedicated to this job so that his ego can be boosted, and then you'll be humiliated in the context of being shamed, and I think in that context, it's actually the boss who requires the true kind of humiliation to be like, listen, dude, you are so obsessed with your ego being stroked by us as your employees that you don't even care about the real life situations that we are dealing with that might make it a hindrance for us to perform over and above the stated expectations of this job as outlined in our contract. Maybe you need to look at why it is that your validation is so much based on the productivity and output ratio of this company. Is there no way we could work together with you to make this a much more comfortable place to work while also ensuring that we meet our targets, And so these are the types of things, that our culture is very much in need of developing. Because in that humility context, what it means is that we're able to grow, we're able to develop, we're able to acknowledge our limitations, our shortcomings, our flaws and our faults. In a shame paradigm, you create a mask, you create a veneer, you ignore the true self, you ignore your real life challenges, and you put on a mask of invincible, infallible perfection, and I'm just going to do it. If I miss my kid's sports match because I'm working to be more than what my boss expects so that he doesn't make me feel ashamed of myself, then my kid's just going to have to deal with it. That is so toxic and that is so destructive, as we can all see, obviously, So I just want to say, I think it's very important for us to acknowledge as well that all these things, these feelings, like I said, these are humility is a high vibrational feeling and shame is a low vibrational feeling. Feelings are essentially energy. It's an expression of our consciousness. Our consciousness is pure energy. So it's an energetic expression and it sends out an energy frequency, which will then in turn attract like an energy frequency. Like they say, like attracts like, you know what I'm saying? So I will continue with this in part 3.